Namaste, Jai Bharat. Political opposition parties may be politically selective to react, but then such political selectiveness shouldn't be at the cost of nation. That should be discouraged or disowned, of course. Our political oppositions in parliament oftentimes present themselves as functioning against the nation itself. During Operation Sindoor, our opposition was demanding to know how many of our fighters were downed. Now that, of course, this man picks up from a narration created by China, which traveled through Europe to all its agencies and they got back. China had to create these narratives for their own interest because they wanted to say, express two things. One, their weapons, 80% of the weapons used by Pakistan are Chinese. China don't give to them, but they loan them. And this Pakistani authority don't bother about taking loan because they know that during their lifetime they don't have to pay back. And someone who happen to follow will have to pay with the principal and interest. That part they don't care. And they don't care about the question of their nation. And obviously, they don't care about the people who are foolish enough to think that these people are saviors, messiahs of this nation. And they are happy in being boisterous that we are number one army, number one this thing, number one that thing, and what not. They are so short-sighted to see that they have to pay through their nose of petrol, or diesel, whatever it is. Now, that's a different point. So, our opposition was desperately trying to find out how many of our jets are down, how many of our these things are down. But the jet down story, as I've told you, is a narrative created by China, which of course got repeated in the European media, Western media, and then this opposition man found it as authentic, thought it is authentic, and kept, I say, blabbering in the parliament. I would use that word because it does that. But these people, opposition, never asked how many of enemies' weapons you have destroyed, how many of enemy targets you have destroyed, how many of enemy area which you intended to demolish were done. These questions they were never asking. These things they were not interested. So they apparently this time the opposition's narratives and talks during Operation Sindoor was very clearly not in the interest of nation. I don't want to use the harsh word anti-national, though that is really the case, but not in the interest of nation. I'll conclude that because it's indecent to even call an opposition going against a nation, because there's an unexpected of any political party or unexpected of any citizen of this nation. So among many questions they asked is, did you catch those terrorists? Did you catch those 4 terrorists, I suppose? Did you catch those terrorists who killed innocent or 26 civilians? And the killing pattern was typically Hamasian, typically the Hamas kind of attitude, because we have seen and we know the Hamas was brought to Pakistan occupied Kashmir of Pakistan by Pakistan and was facilitated their interaction between the Hamas and the Pakistani terrorists like Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed, etc. And this Lashkar-e-Taiba's a branch new budding output, emerged output is the resistant front. Who the hell are they going to resist? God alone knows. Anyway, they are going to resist, and which is called as TR of resistant front. Possibly the Lashkar-e-Taiba, they created this resistant front to present that this is another terrorist outfit and not Lashkar-e-Taiba. That's why they did that. Otherwise, there is no difference. And among the 4 terrorists who had inspected the people who got in their hands, by stripping them to find out whether they are circumcised or not, to confirm whether they are Hindus or Muslims, and then killed them. 2 things they did. When they asked them to recite something from Kalma, from Quran, and these poor Hindus don't know even Bhagavad Gita, and you talk about asking them to recite Kalma. The Hindu religion is that they don't have to know any mantra. They don't even know. Even they don't know the Purusha Sukta. They never heard about the Vak Sukta of Rigveda. They are there for those who want it, but these things are not compulsory. And of course, what do you expect from terrorists who just know one thing? They are focused, trained, and directed towards a single desideratum, which is jihad, which is their life after death. They are focused on that, so they are trained to, or brainwashed. That's actually, it's not training. Training shall mean something else. They're brainwashed enough to die suicidal for anything, whatever is told. So they have stripped them to confirm their religion and then killed them at point blank range. And just look at the desperation of the person, both killing and who's getting killed. And the men were killed. Women were told, so arrogantly, of course, what else you expect of a terrorist? Arrogantly go and talk to your prime minister that we killed them. And then, of course, a lot of trolls came that she went and told. And then Operation Sindoor, I see. That's some narratives which happened quite some time back. So there are people. Now, nobody knows the terrorists by face except some photos. The point is that you have to hunt them down. The first thing first success that we got is that these killers of innocence could not escape from Bharat. They were trapped in the jungles. They couldn't find a way out. They remained trapped. From that day, from the day they must have entered into Bharat, they're not our citizens. They are all Pakistanis. Proven Pakistanis. A couple of them were soldiers in Pakistan, if I'm not wrong. The Musa, some name. I don't remember. Because I didn't bother to remember his name. Some Musa, Hamza Musa something. And some other people. They were used to be in the Pakistani soldier wing who volunteers for this kind of things. Or maybe like goes in and so speaks in Australia, picked up to volunteer. Whatever may be the case. After getting brainwashed, they need not have been picked up to volunteer. They volunteer themselves for this kind of thing because they're thoroughly brainwashed. So these people, they were in the forest, they were trapped in the forest. Probably they must have been very clearly given the confidence that after you execute your holy mission of killing these innocent civilians who happen to be Hindus, you can just come back to Pakistan and live like lords. They must have been very confident that they are getting back. So they came with a given preparation, executed their role, but then the moment this is done, so our forces became very alert and then ensured that they can't leave Bharat. We know where they are, in which area, but it's deep jungle. They were in the jungle and continued all these days from then to now. They remained trapped in the jungle and must have had contacts outside through disguising themselves. They would never say that they are terrorists. They would say they are, this thing, that thing, etc. Some stories they'll make. They'll use religion as an ATM for everything. That's what Pakistan precisely does. Officially, they use religion as an ATM. This expression I borrowed from Gauravaria. They use it as an ATM. So they must have used sentiments of religion, and they must have indirectly used madrasas or mosques, whatever. But in that also they can't. The moment they come out, there are Kashmiris who know them, would identify and report them. So they had to remain in the forest and must have used some hapless innocent people by paying money to get food and other things, etc. So they never stayed at one point in the jungle. They kept moving the hideouts, shifting the hideouts. They kept moving from one point to another point and kept shifting the hideouts throughout. And they remained in the forest trapped because they could have not gone out. They must have tried their best to somehow get out. That did not happen. So this morning, I suppose, it took an hour or 1 hour 15 minutes something for the our forces to understand that they are there, focused on them. Then the task confirming the identity of the people there who there, whether they're really the terrorists or not. That's a task. Without that, you can't execute orders. Confirmed that these people are these, and then of course executed them. And then they named this operation as Operation Mahadev. Mahadev is Shankar Bhagwan, and they have not kept the name Operation Mahadev for any religious reasons. They kept the name Operation Mahadev for a simple reason that that area, the forest in which they were hiding or kept shifting their hideouts, is called as Mahadev Mount. And I never gone there. That's it. Because otherwise, many places, most places I must have seen. This Mahadev Mount, I never saw. And what is told is that the Mahadev Mount is a very hard, difficult terrain, which is a religious place for the Hindus where people go to worship. So Mahadev Mount. So from the Mahadev Mount, our army must have kept this name Operation Mahadev. Why Operation Sindoor was kept as Operation Sindoor? As I understand, Sindoor is a sign of married women, and if the husband unfortunately dies of a woman, she has to remove the sindoor. So these terrorists have removed the sindoors of our women. So the operation was called Operation Sindoor. Revenge the sindoor removal of Indian women. So this is Operation Mahadev. Anyway, all these people were killed. The army did their job. They did the job for the nation. Terrorists were neutralized. And that is a great news. That's a great news. Now, of course, somebody standing in parliament can talk to this opposition, "Bhai, this is what happened." But then, when they were in power, did they identify any terrorist? They bring terrorists to the Rashtrapati Bhavan and make him shake hands with the prime ministers or president or vice president. VIC vice president should have been WISC vice president. So we shall meet again. Namaste. Jai Bharat, Jai Siya Ram.